A powerful dash cuts through the air, locking onto the target in a single breath. On the African savanna, a ruler accustomed to victory does not always remain in control. The moment the prey pushes back with force, the advantage instantly shifts, turning the hunter into the one paying the price for its own confidence. In nature, a slight miscalculation is enough to shatter every plan. This is the moment when the hunt becomes a reversed trap. Lions are often referred to as the kings of the savanna and are seen as standing at the top of the food chain. An adult male lion weighs around 500 pounds, possessing powerful muscles and explosive strength that make many species cautious. However, that dominant status is not a guarantee of absolute safety. In the wild, the line between advantage and vulnerability is always more fragile than appearances suggest. Across the open savanna, giraffes rise like living landmarks. Standing over 18 feet tall, weighing roughly 2,600 pounds, and moving with a calm, unhurried presence, they are often seen by lions as potential targets. Facing prey of such immense size, a pride must work together, closing in and attempting to restrain the legs to disrupt balance. When pushed into a position with no retreat, the giraffe pivots its massive frame and delivers a backward kick from hind legs nearly 6 feet long, striking directly at the attacker's confidence. The counter happens in an instant, enough to force the lion to withdraw, and in some cases, the cost is the permanent loss of hunting capability. It is a clear reminder that on the savanna, even the king must remain cautious in the face of the defensive strength of giants that appear gentle at first glance. On the same savanna, zebras are not easy targets either. Without horns or fangs, they carry a dangerous weapon behind them. A kick from powerful hind legs, supported by hooves hard as stone, can generate an impact force of up to about 3,000 psi. When a herd detects a predator, the first response is to flee. And a young zebra weighing around 150 pounds, still unsteady on its feet, can easily fall behind and become a target. In the moment of close pursuit, the mother pivots and delivers a direct kick, enough to break the attack's momentum and shield the young. That brief counterstrike creates a vital opening for the next generation to survive. At times, zebras also bite back, using their body weight to disrupt attacks from claws measuring about 2 inches long. In the end, this determined resistance forces the predator to retreat. With African buffalo, lionesses often must work together as a group to find an opening. Yet the buffalo's instinct to protect its own becomes the most formidable counterforce. An adult bull carries horns that are hard and wide like a shield. Instead of fleeing, it is willing to charge straight towards the predator. Impacts powerful enough to lift a lion standing 5 to 6 feet tall off the ground. In many cases, the entire herd gathers, forming a moving wall of horns that pushes the lions into a reversed position of pressure. Under that force, the predators quickly lose room to engage and are compelled to retreat to higher ground, a rare moment when the balance of survival shifts. When encountering a rhinoceros, a lion enters one of the riskiest confrontations on the savanna. With a massive body weighing roughly twice as much as a giraffe and skin about 2 inches thick, the rhinoceros resembles a living tank of the savanna. A direct approach is nearly impossible, forcing the lion to rely on speed to probe for weakness along the flank. Yet a single pivot from the rhinoceros is enough to instantly shift the situation. A horn, extending over 30 inches, formed from dense keratin, quickly becomes a powerful tool of defense. Under heat nearing 100 degrees Fahrenheit, as stamina drains rapidly, the lion is compelled to retreat under direct pressure, choosing to abandon the hunt to avoid an uncontrollable risk. Leopards embody intelligence and exceptional adaptability. Weighing only around 150 pounds, they possess remarkable strength and superior climbing skill. Powerful jaws allow them to haul prey, weighing twice their own body mass up into tree branches nearly 20 feet high, preventing it from being taken by others. Yet behind this advantage lies the cost of a solitary lifestyle. Without the support of a group, every hunt becomes a survival gamble that the leopard must bear alone. Along the edges of brush and earthen burrows, leopards often lie in wait for young warthogs, making them an important food source. But when facing a fully grown warthog, that approach immediately becomes a high-risk challenge. The key factor lies in its distinctive curved tusks, reaching up to about 20 inches in length, hardened through repeated confrontations. Instead of fleeing, the warthog lowers its center of gravity and counters head-on, driving its full body mass into upward thrusts. The combination of forward momentum and rigid tusks creates a serious risk of injury for the predator. Confronted with an opponent that is resilient and willing to fight back, the leopard is forced to disengage. The encounter ends not with victory, but with a survival choice, recognizing that this is a gamble not worth continuing. Although leopards often target young individuals, they rarely account for the reaction of an entire wildebeest herd. When the pounce is launched and the leopard's claws barely make contact with the prey's hide, The protective instinct of the mother immediately ignites. In that instant, the predator realizes it is no longer facing a single target, but the fierce force of maternal defense. Under the threat of a counterattack, the leopard is compelled to withdraw, leaving behind a valuable meal, a necessary cost to preserve its own survival. In open woodlands and rocky slopes, baboons are not easy prey to overpower. An adult weighs around 60 to 90 pounds, equipped with long canines and a powerful bite. Yet their true strength lies in numbers. When a leopard reveals itself, the troop immediately rallies, sends out warning signals, and shifts into a defensive formation. From elevated positions, they rush down together, combining sharp teeth and strong forelimbs to apply direct pressure that makes close access difficult for the predator. Faced with the risk of being surrounded from multiple directions, the leopard is often forced to retreat. For a solitary hunter, the unity of such opponents is a risk not worth taking. At the edge of tall grasslands, where a buffalo herd moves like an armored formation, the leopard watches from the shade, searching for an opening. Its gaze locks onto a calf weighing about 80 pounds, standing roughly 20 feet from the protective ring. Seizing the moment, the predator bursts forward, dragging the target toward the brush. But a distress signal instantly triggers a herd response. Adult buffalo weighing up to 2,000 pounds rapidly converge, forming a solid wall of horns. Under mounting pressure and trembling ground, the leopard releases its grip and springs up a tree nearly 15 feet high, choosing retreat in the face of a fortress that solitary claws cannot break through. On steep mountain slopes, a female puma weighing about 130 pounds takes a life-or-death gamble by attacking an adult guanaco, a camelid standing up to 7 feet tall and weighing nearly 3 times as much. To bring down such a massive target, the puma must attempt to control the neck area. However, the guanaco's muscular strength proves to be a major obstacle. In the moment of struggle, the guanaco's body power allows it to drag the predator several feet, breaking the hold and creating space to escape. Although the young attempt to assist, they lack the weight required to restrain the target. In the end, the failure leaves lasting consequences and pushes the dependent young toward the risk of hunger in an unforgiving wilderness. In a world defined by speed, the cheetah is regarded as the fastest land animal, capable of accelerating to nearly 70 miles per hour within seconds. Yet on the savanna, speed alone does not always guarantee success. When a female cheetah targets a Grant's gazelle, the hunt takes an unexpected turn. At the moment of close engagement, control does not unfold as planned. Instead of fleeing, the gazelle turns to face the threat, using explosive power, strong muscles, and sharp horns to resist. The impact forces the cheetah to break off, disrupting its acceleration, the one advantage it depends on for survival. The hunt ends in failure. On the savanna, a cheetah that can no longer sustain top speed loses its edge, where even a minor deviation is enough to reverse the roles between hunter and prey. On the open savanna, sometimes the most intimidating presence is not a single predator, but an entire pack of wild dogs appearing at once. They do not arrive to test their luck. They arrive with a plan, operating together like a single machine. Here, one mistimed move means losing the advantage, and one slow step means being pushed out of the contest. So who truly commands this land? The strength of one individual or the power of the pack? Wild dogs and lions are bound in an unavoidable relationship of tension. They pursue the same large prey and compete for the same living space, often crossing paths along territorial boundaries and around shared food sources. When a direct encounter occurs, the balance clearly favors the lion. A single unexpected advance can quickly place the wild dogs at a disadvantage if awareness slips for even a moment. The risk is even greater for younger members of the pack, as lions may attempt to remove future competition to protect their position. To endure, wild dogs rely on constant vigilance, rapid movement, and the readiness to disperse when lions draw near. Survival is not always found in confrontation, but in knowing when to step back to protect the future of the entire pack. Along the edges of the savanna, where trees grow denser, wild dogs and baboons are sometimes forced to share the same space. Adult baboons are large, physically strong, and highly intelligent. With tall trees and rocky ledges as support, they move with confidence, climbing quickly and standing firm within large groups. Wild dogs quickly recognize the imbalance when facing adult baboons directly. A baboon holds its ground, using size and the surrounding vegetation to respond decisively, prompting the pack to keep its distance. After a few brief approaches and careful assessments, the wild dogs gradually pull back, yielding space to the group that clearly controls the area. Opportunities usually appear when a younger individual falls behind, momentarily separated from the protective circle. A short, precise approach follows. The encounter ends quickly, and the pack withdraws before the situation can shift. For wild dogs, an adult elephant marks a boundary that cannot be crossed. A young elephant, however, can briefly create a sense of possibility. Nearly as large as a fully grown buffalo, moving a little slower at times, it may drift toward the edge of the group within just a few steps. The wild dog pack immediately shifts into an opportunistic mode, looking for a chance to separate the young elephant. But the elephant herd reacts even faster. Adults close in, forming a solid barrier, drawing the calf safely into the center. With a single decisive advance, the balance changes. The wild dogs disperse instantly, because at this distance, one mistimed move carries real consequences. The pack withdraws, as if there had never been an attempt at all. The lesson is clear. Endurance allows wild dogs to survive, but when facing elephants, the discipline of the herd is something that cannot be broken. Across Africa's open grasslands, the impala represents alertness and speed. A full-grown individual can accelerate beyond 50 miles per hour within just a few strides, leaping over 10 feet while changing direction. Yet the impala's greatest strength is not muscle alone, but the ability to sustain long-distance movement across wide, open terrain. Wild dogs understand this well. They rarely launch into a full sprint at the start. The pursuit begins with steady pressure, forcing the impala to maintain high speed over extended distances. Fatigue gradually builds, and every shift in the landscape can become a decisive turning point. When the savanna opens toward shallow water, the strategy shifts. One group cuts off the path, guiding the impala toward the river's edge. In the water, wild dogs swim efficiently, quietly closing the distance. The escape space narrows with each moment. The chase ends quickly as the pack works together to draw the impala back onto land. There is no display, only an energy-efficient plan carried out with precision. Success does not belong to the fastest runner, but to those who know exactly where to bring the pursuit to an end. During migration season, wildebeest become a large but well-matched challenge for wild dogs. Weighing over 400 pounds and moving with endurance in tight formations, they are difficult to separate as long as the herd remains organized. For this reason, wild dogs stay close to the outer edges, waiting for the precise moment when one individual falls out of rhythm, turning numerical pressure into opportunity. The encounter begins with a calculated pursuit, stretching across several miles. Members of the pack take turns applying pressure, forcing the wildebeest to maintain a high pace without pause. There is no recovery window, no safe point to slow down. Each rotation conserves energy for the pack, while the target steadily loses its advantage. As the distance closes, the formation tightens with discipline. The final phase unfolds smoothly. The pursuit ends quickly, not as a result of raw speed, but as a natural outcome of greater endurance. This strategy gives wild dogs one of the highest success rates on the savanna, often exceeding 70%. Within the ecological cycle, endurance and coordination do more than provide an advantage. They shape the very survival of a species. The leopard is a solitary hunter, adapted to silence and surprise. It typically acts quickly, then moves its catch into dense cover or up into trees to avoid attention. Yet this very habit places it on a collision course with wild dogs, pack hunters that range widely and remain alert to every opening. When a pack of wild dogs appears, the pace shifts immediately. There is no single direct charge, only repeated pressure from multiple directions. Under the weight of numbers and continuous approaches, holding on to a catch becomes increasingly difficult. In encounters like this, the leopard often chooses to withdraw, not because it lacks strength, but because direct confrontation is not its path to survival. The wild dogs do not need to pursue. Collective pressure has already done its work. The encounter closes quickly. On the savanna, success is sometimes not about force, but about compelling an opponent to move away at the right moment. The African buffalo is one of the most challenging targets on the savanna. A full-grown individual can weigh more than 1,300 pounds, equipped with curved, sharp horns and extremely fast defensive reactions. When standing within the herd, buffalo form a unified front, leaving predators with very few openings. Wild dogs understand these limits well. They do not attempt a direct approach. Instead, the pack moves alongside the herd, using endurance to apply constant pressure along the outer edge. The goal is to wear down a single adult, forcing it to fall behind. Once enough dogs gather around the separated individual, the pursuit reaches its conclusion. With younger buffalo, whether moving beside their mothers or not, the situation is far less complex for the pack. Numbers create immediate control, leaving little space for escape. On the savanna, success does not come from head-on confrontation, but from steadily draining energy and drawing an opponent away from the protection of the group. Nature has no undefeated champion, only limits that are constantly waiting to be tested. These encounters serve as a reminder that true strength lies in adaptation, not domination. If these moments of reversal spark reflection, a like helps support the journey of exploration. And for those who wish to continue following this authentic view of the wild, subscribing ensures the next episode is not missed.